What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mr. Random, and back by popular demand. That's right, you guys asked for it. This is part 2 of the top 5 most affordable performance mods you can get for your Crown Victoria. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And we're going to start things off with the J mod. Now, for those of you who don't know what the J mod stands for, it actually stands for Jerry's mod. He's the guy who actually invented this modification for the transmission of your Crown Victoria. Now, although on paper it sounds very easy, it actually is quite complicated to do a J mod on your Crown Vic, and I highly suggest you go to somebody who's reputable, who's actually done it before and is known to do it, because if you do this mod the wrong way, you can seriously, catastrophically mess up your transmission. But if you do it the right way, basically all you're doing is enlarging the fluid feed holes to the appropriate accumulator and or shift valve. This increases the shift speed and firmness. And you can also customize the shift feel by the size of the hole being drilled and changing the accumulator springs or removing them. Essentially what happens is your Crown Vic shifts like a fraction of a second quicker. But if you're into towing or hot rodding or just want firmer shifts, it's actually one of the best things you can do, and it also increases the life of your Crown Vic's transmission by like tenfold, like I said, as long as it's done exactly correct. And the next mod on the list is steeda underdrive pulleys. Now, one of the benefits of having a Crown Victoria is that it essentially shares the same engine block as a Mustang GT, which means that you can actually do similar mods that you would do to a Mustang GT to your Crown Victoria. And one of those bolt-on mods is steeda underdrive pulleys. Now, if you're going to stay naturally aspirated on your Crown Vic and you're on a tight budget, this is a perfect bolt-on modification to do. You can find the steeda pulleys for around 150 if you try hard enough, and you can actually install them yourself. Now, I would advise you guys to actually stay away from installing the alternator pulley. In reality, it just limits the stock alternator too much. But the water pump and the crank pulley are definitely worth it. Actually, you might even gain up to 10 horsepower. Like I said, one of the benefits about this is you can actually do it yourself. There is a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to install these pulleys yourself. Now, the way that the pulleys give your car horsepower is that they have a lightweight aluminum design. Now, your original stock Crown Victoria pulleys have a certain lag to them. When you add the steeda underdrive pulleys, it eliminates that lag, essentially making your engine run just the slightest bit better. Now, this next modification is for those of you guys who really don't care about your MPG and miles per gallon and all that stuff. And of course, I'm talking about the 93 race octane tune. Essentially, these tunes, they make adjustments to the throttle position, timing, fuel, cams. Also, when paired with modifications like a cold air intake and exhaust, they can actually make better use of these mods. Ford sets up their cars for like the average person, especially a Crown Vic, which was a fleet vehicle, but they can be adjusted within reason to fit a certain type of driving style. Essentially, the 93 octane race tune is just a little bit more of an aggressive tune compared to your factory tune. The spark is enhanced more, especially on our automatic Crown Vics. The shift points are pushed a little bit further back, and it just makes the overall settings a little bit more aggressive. Like I said earlier, really the only downside to it is you're going to have to use 93 pump gas all the time, and your MPGs might drop a little bit. But hey, for a couple 10 or 15 more horsepower, it's definitely worth it. And this next modification is another cheap and simple one, but it can make a big difference in the long run. And of course, I'm talking about upgrading your radiator hoses from the regular rubber material that they have to stainless steel braided. Now, a braided stainless steel hose usually has a higher mechanical strength, and it also does have higher tear resistance and tear strength. They can actually withstand higher pressures and provide maximum leak tightness. They're also great for extreme temperatures as well if your car is running really hot. Believe it or not, some of these hoses are even used in freaking outer space. But for those of you who don't want to commit all the way and convert all your radiator hoses and heater hoses to full stainless steel braided, well, there is another option, and that is you can actually just dress it up AutoZone and a lot of other specialty shops usually sell a hose cover kit, and essentially it's just a hollow metal tube that goes over your stock radiator hose, and it does give it that high performance look without having to go through all that trouble. And last but not least, one of the most cheapest performance mods you can do to your Crown Victoria, especially when it comes to handling, is getting lowering springs or just lowering your car in general. Now, there are actually some benefits to lowering your car. A lot of people believe that the Crown Victoria came optimized from factory, especially with the Interceptor package, for optimal performance, but there is always room for improvement, guys. Lowering your car can actually lower the center of gravity, like the name suggests. Lowered suspension lets your car sit closer to the ground and increases stability through turns or during emergency maneuvers. That's why, if you've noticed, a lot of the police package Chevy Tahoes are actually lower than their civilian counterparts. Now, lowering your car also gives you more aerodynamics, improved handling, and the best part, improved visual appeal. There's nothing better on any car than seeing it lowered. Now, there are some extreme examples of lowering your Crown Vic, like you guys can see. I mean, you could slam it. It's really up to the individual's preference, but the ideal lowering distance for your Crown Victoria is anywhere between 2 to 2.5 inches all the way around. And that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, if I get enough of them, I might actually make a part 3. Let me know if I missed anything else. Remember, if you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check out part 1 before you make any suggestions. Either way, it's your boy, Mr. Random. Take it easy.